Welcome to the Chopin channel. I'm Roberto Poli, continuing with part 2 of a video I posted recently about how Vincent Ong cast his spell on the 2025 Chopin Competition. A video in which I featured two excerpts, one from his second round, namely the Prelude number 16 in B-flat minor, and an extended section from the first movement of the first piano concerto. Before we continue, if you end up liking the content of this channel, feel free to like and subscribe. I really appreciate your support. The third excerpt I would like to analyze remains in the context of the first piano concerto, also from the first movement. My observations in regard to this passage are not about something magical that happened, but an extraordinary aspect of Vincent's playing that reveals his practice habits. These are the measures in question. Of course, since I'm obsessed with sequences and inflection, as you might have gathered at this point, notice how the right hand is beautifully shaped according to this 8-measure structure: 2 measures, 2 more measures, and then 4 measures. Here's the passage again. Vincent's playing of this passage reveals more than just good sequencing and dynamic shape, both of which we already noticed in other videos. Here, we are actually shown how Vincent practices not only the understanding of sequencing, which can be done partly away from the piano and then worked out at a keyboard at a later stage. Notice the care with which Vincent figured out the shape of the left-hand passage work, resolved as melodically and lyrically and carefully as the sequencing in the right hand that we just looked at. And this is not limited to the 16th notes of these 4 measures, but to the following passage as well, where the right hand takes over the fast figurations. Listen to the left hand particularly. If there's one thing that can be said about Vincent's playing compared to many other contestants, even in the final round, is that he certainly practices hands separately and works with great patience to realize his ideal. From dynamic shape and scope, to voicing, to balance between hands, to beauty of sound. This is a kind of work that leaves no stone unturned. Everything has a logic and a purpose. This is true of every single piece that he played in the competition. Where other contestants played a piece extraordinarily, Vincent always offers a kind of detailing that is not heard anywhere else throughout the event. I will be more specific about what I mean in an upcoming video featuring the Waltz Opus 42, which he played in the first round. Our last excerpt comes from the third round, the opening section of the Scherzo from the Sonata in B minor, Opus 58. The performance of the second movement, the Scherzo, summarizes in many ways all the qualities I pointed out so far. Vincent's staggering virtuosity and the way he handles the evenness of the eighth notes, and in the leggero requested by Chopin. Now, we won't get into the reason as to why Chopin misspelled the word leggero. It should, of course, have two G's. A mishap, I guess. Nevertheless, a delightful little glimpse into the inner workings of a composer through a manuscript. What is certainly not a mishap is the evenness that Vincent achieves in this section. Having performed the sonata myself many times since 2002 or so, I know firsthand what it means to achieve speed while maintaining that delicate lightness throughout the movement. Something I haven't always managed to master, I must admit, and that is bound to the capriciousness of nervousness and unfriendly action of the instrument available, etc. Too often, the desire to articulate every note clearly, especially at the opening of the movement, results in a loss of lightness. We end up using too much finger motion and the playing becomes heavier than intended, of course. On the other hand, when we focus too much on achieving lightness, evenness can suffer. And of course, speed is always a factor. The faster the tempo, the harder it is to sustain that effortless quality, particularly in passages where the hand doesn't naturally align with the topography of the keyboard. In my experience, this opening section exemplifies that challenge perfectly. And Vincent doesn't seem to struggle with either aspect in the slightest. What's more, there's a splendid sense of line that binds the entire opening section together. So, not only do I feel deep admiration for him, I must admit there's a touch of envy as well. One final detail worth mentioning is the subtle motif that shapes the left hand material, a fleeting two note figure that appears and disappears throughout. Vincent always manages to highlight it with great elegance at every significant structural turning point, lending the music an organic coherence that's easy to feel, but in my experience, extremely hard to achieve. We have witnessed a flattening of meaning in the music making of the past decades, but also a loss of individuality for the sake of conforming to market standards. These standards have become some sort of moral ought, heard widely in the playing throughout the competition. So, in that regard, Vincent Ong is a unique voice, but his art isn't provocative or polarizing. It simply exists in clarity and poetry and offers insights that demand attention. For all these reasons, for me, Vincent is without question the artist of the competition.